Welcome, guys. I want to welcome you to Chem 110. This is section 010 for fall 2 of 2025. I am your instructor, Dr. Nanette K. Hartley, but you can call me Nan. I will be meeting you in person on Wednesday from 6 to 9 in our classroom in the 800 building, room 814. But I wanted to give you an introduction before we met for the first time. I wanted to walk you through a little bit of our D2L shell, show you our ALEKS homework place, and give you some more information about the course as you may need that. So let's take a little look through and see what we've got. So what you're looking at here is our D2L shell. I'm viewing this as a student, so you'll see it just as I would see it, or I see it as you would see it, as the case may be. There are a number of things that you should probably see here. First is that we do meet in person 6 to 9 p.m. on Monday and Wednesday. There is a lab that goes with this class. You will have to arrange to meet for that lab, and we have times and dates available for that. I will talk about that in a few minutes. There are some other resources that we're going to be talking about. Let me go ahead and deal with the lab first. So there is a lab that goes with this course, and that lab is called a flex lab. So there's no fixed time that you have to come to lab. The lab is available to you Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 9. So the nights that we don't have lecture, you can also go from 6 to 9 p.m. for lab. Okay, so that's available. We have labs from 8 to 11 a.m., 11:30 to 2:30 p.m., and then 3 to 6 p.m. on all of those dates. Now, I am not there all of those times. I only have 2 of those times that I'm there, and that's Wednesday afternoon from 3 to 6 and Thursday from 8 to 11 a.m. There are other instructors who are in that lab space when I am not there. You are free to attend at any time you want. That's entirely up to you and your schedule. You have the ability to sign up for that at any time, okay? So you can sign up starting now, and you can do that throughout the course. You need to make sure that you've done it for the weeks that those labs are available. And there is a schedule for those labs, and I'll show you that now. I'm going to show you the schedule for the course. There are some things we want to talk about with this schedule. So this is your course schedule. What you'll notice is that there are dates where we're going to be talking about different materials. So you'll see a lecture number, that's topics that we're going to be talking about, the chapters and sections that are covered during that time, and then the ALEKS materials that are going to be covered. And then you'll have some due dates over here. Now, on the 15th of October, the first day that we meet, we'll be doing lecture 0, which is the introduction and the lab introduction, and then lecture 1, which is units of measure and matter. Both of those will be talked about that day. The first intro and lab introduction is a review. So there's nothing that we need to, there's nothing in the textbook that we'll be talking about for that. But the units of measure and matter, that's chapter 1, sections 3 through 6, and chapter 1, sections 7 through 9. Okay, so this is the chapter number, and then the sections in the textbook. Now the textbook is in ALEKS, and I'll show you where that is in a little bit. Okay, so we'll get to that. Now in ALEKS, there is a section called units of measure and matter. Okay, so it usually matches the lecture topic. So, but the name of that is listed here. And there are 2 dates over here listed for the due date. One is 2 days after that lecture. So that's when I recommend you're done with that homework. But I understand that life gets in the way, and that may not always happen. Okay, so it's not actually due until 2 days before the test. Now notice, 2 days before the test. So the test is on the 3rd, the homework is due on the 1st. I will not extend it beyond that. That applies not only to the homework, but also for the practice for that test. Okay, everything closes 2 days before the test. This is to prevent you from cramming for the test. I will emphasize that again. This is to prevent you from cramming for the test. You cannot wait until the last minute. It will take you forever to do all of the homework if you do it at the last minute, and it will not benefit you if you do that. So you need to be doing the homework as you go. You need to be practicing this on your own. It is not my job to do this for you. I can't. If I do it, it helps me, not you. You have to do it. Okay. So that's something that you need to be working on. So So that's all of the lecture type materials that go with this. Now there are PowerPoints that go with each of these, and I'll show you those in a little bit. There's also lab material, and that's all of this stuff in gray. Notice that there are dates that are listed for this, the 15th to the 19th are the dates that are listed for these labs, and that's because they're virtual, so we don't actually physically do them. Now these labs are listed the 20th to the 26th, okay, but they can only be done Monday through Thursday. Okay, there's no lab on Friday, there's no lab on Saturday, there's no lab on Sunday. Some of these labs are physically done, and some of them are virtual. Okay, so they aren't done in the labs themselves. If they're in red, they are not done in the physical lab. Okay, if they're done in the physical lab, there is a pre-lab that has to be done for them, and it has to be done the Sunday before. So because this is for the week of the 20th, the pre-lab is due on the 19th. Okay, so that has to be done by midnight. If you do not pass that pre-lab, you cannot go to the lab. That's a big deal because that pre-lab is worth 100 points. The lab is worth 100 points. The survey that goes with it is worth 100 points. And the post-lab is worth 100 points. So lab, pre-lab, or pre-lab, lab, post-lab, survey, 400 points worth of material that cannot be done because you didn't do the pre-lab on time. That's a big deal, okay? And of course, if you don't do 2 of them, because there are 2 labs per week, that's 800 points. That's a lot. So that's what goes with that. Now, where do you sign up for those things? Well, notice that there's nothing here that says lab. Oh, that's curious. And that's because I am forcing you to acknowledge some things before you can see all of the course material. So I want you to acknowledge that you've done some things. So there are some assignments that you need to do in the first couple of days of class, right? Now, you'll see those assignments if you open this checklist. So you open the checklist, and it talks about who I am, how you can get in contact with me, where my office is, what my availability is. So like when I'm on campus. So you can see here that I am on campus Monday and Wednesday from 1 to 9:30 p.m. Tuesday, I work 7 to 5 remote. I'm not on there actually physically on campus. Thursday, I'm here from 6:30 to 3 p.m. and Friday, I'm here from 6:30 to 10. I have office hours on Monday from 1 to 3, from Wednesday 1 to 6, and Friday 7 to 8 a.m. Okay, I'm in class 6 to 9 p.m. Monday and Wednesday in the 800 building, room 814, and from 3 to 6 in the 630 building, room 222. I'm also in class on, oh, that should be on Thursday. Oops, I have to fix that. So that should be on Thursday from 8 to 11. Sorry, making a note. It should be Thursday, 8 to 11. So I have to fix my availability. I'm sorry, that should be on Thursday. So that should be on Thursday. So that's where that is again, in that same lab room. Okay. Again, my email address is here. You can click that. This is my WebEx meeting link in case you need it. This is my office phone. This is where my office is, all of that good stuff. So if you can't meet with me in any of these times, please let me know. I'm more than willing to make time for you outside of this if that is what is necessary. Okay, so there is that. So that's my availability. There will be a link to this introductory video, which hopefully you found because you're watching it. There's a link to the departmental syllabus, which you need to review. There's a link to the syllabus. And in the departmental syllabus, we will talk about the grade breakdown. So what's going to be graded and how it's going to be graded. These are the objectives for the course, i.e. what you're going to learn while you're in here. But here's our grade breakdown. Notice that our grades go from 91 to 100 for an A. We do not go from 90 to 100. Our final exam is 20%. Our homework and our classroom tests are 35%. The homework in Alex is 20%. And the lab, all of it, is 25% of your grade. Okay. There are components of that lab that are 25, that make up that 25%. There's information here about what what happens if a test is missed, what happens, when your grade is, with your grade, that kind of stuff. There's no extra credit. What happens with academic misconduct? What do we do about electronic communication devices in the classroom? Okay. What I will tell you right now is that if your calculator can connect to the internet in any way, shape, or form, I will not let you use it. Okay. TI calculators cannot, so they are safe. Other calculators, Hewlett-Packard specifically, is a problem because they can connect to the interwebs and therefore can be used to cheat. Now, the other thing I will tell you is that calculators often can use different constants than what you may be provided on the exam handouts. If you use a constant that is not provided on the exam handouts, that is considered cheating. It's academic misconduct. So you need to make sure that you're using the values that were provided to you on those exam handouts. This is not an attendance taking class. I don't take attendance. I keep track of attendance for veterans, that kind of thing. You're expected to be civil in the classroom. You can get academic assistance if you need it. If you're going to enroll in 111, you need to be prepared to use anything you learned at 110. We can and do use artificial intelligence to help us prepare for this course. Okay, so there are things that have been generated using AI in this course. We will discuss AI usage in our first class, so there is that. There are laboratory procedures that will be discussed here. These are the things that we're going to cover in class, and the chapters and sections out of the textbook that will be covered with that. That is all in your schedule. This is exactly the same material that's in the schedule. And then this is the schedule for the labs. So all of that is there. So that's your syllabus. Now, there's a syllabus addendum, which has some comments beyond the syllabus as far as my, what's expected, what happens, what I expect you to do, that kind of stuff. So this has all been put together for you. I expect you to read this. I'm not going to read it to you now, but that is expected. So that, and it does have my late penalties. So if you turn things in late, there is a penalty for doing so. And after 1 week, I will not accept things. All right. You are expected to do surveys after all of your labs. They are not reviewed during the course, but you do get points for having done them. Okay. So this is all the stuff that is considered graded. All right. So there's that. There is the course schedule that I showed you. There is a copy of the lab manual. You get a printed copy of the lab manual in class. There are technology requirements and some resources, list of that available to you, and the exam handouts, which I'm going to talk about in some detail. Now, these are the exam handouts. These will be given to you in class for the exams. I really want to emphasize to you that you should get used to using them outside of the exams because it's a lot of information. It's 14 pages of information. So you should get used to working with it. It's a lot of stuff. Every polyatomic ion that you could ever be asked to work with is on here. You need to be familiar with them because if they're here, I expect you to know what their formula is and what their charge is. You should be able to provide those formulas when you're asked to name things, or if I give you a name, to know what that formula is. Okay, here are things. So the numbers, the symbols, the names, the Alex molecular weight, and then the periodic table weight from here, because it's very small, so I can't read it. So this periodic table weight is what I would use on the test. Alex, these weights are what you would use if you're dealing with Alex, so you can deal with anything that's given to you in Alex from these. There are some conversion factors. Here are all your gas conversion factors. There's some stuff that we're going to talk about when we talk about molecular geometries and electronic geometries. Here are some constants and some equations that you will use in this class. These are strong acids, strong bases, and our fun box. These are the solubility rules and the solubility chart. These are some common names. This is our stoichiometric map. These are some specific heat capacities, solubility product constants. These are, again, for the second half of this class, but they're here. Bond energies, mole freezing point depression, and boiling point elevation constants, which we will use at the end of this course. Properties of salts, which we actually don't talk about anymore. Ionization constants of some weak bases and their conjugate acids, and some weak acids and their conjugate bases, diprotic acids, and standard reduction potentials. Not all of this is used in 110, but it is here for people who use, because I also teach 111. So there is that. Okay, so those are your exam handouts. Now, you will have to create an account in Alex. All right, you will be taken to a link to create your Alex account. You need to get a VitalSource access, copy that code, and opt in to be able to do this. You have to opt in. If you don't opt in, you will be taken out of the ability to get access to these materials, and then you will be cut off from your ability to do homework and other things that are required for this class. So you need to opt in. You'll then be taken into Alex to do all of your work. Now, I can't access Alex as a student, so I have to go back in through the back end, and then I can show you what it looks like as a student, because I can get to a student view from here. So let's get into my actual class. Sorry. So this is our course, and now I can go to my student view here. And this is what it will look like for you when you come in here. They'll ask you to do some introductory stuff. I get to skip a lot of this. You can't do that. So there is a tutorial. I recommend that you do the tutorial. I have skipped it because I've done it a million times. But you need to do that tutorial so that you learn how to work in this system. There is a knowledge check that you should do. Notice that this is meant to be an adaptive system. We don't use it that way. This is meant to give you an idea of how well your math skills look coming into this. So it can show you some places where your math skills are not great. So you can do some remediation about the math if you need to. All right. You do not have the option to skip this. But I do. So I skipped. And you'll end up with this thing that looks like a pie chart. You don't need this. Okay. It will say Alex Pi. Now, you will get an Alex Pi grade, but it is not based on this Alex Pi. Right? You do not need to start your path. Your information, if you come up here, you'll see assignments. You'll also see the textbook. So if you want to get to the textbook, this is how you do it. You'll see the ebook right here, and that's how you get to the textbook. So this is how you get to that textbook. And if it says chapter 1, sections 1 through 3, this is section 1, 2, and 3, and then it goes to 7, 8, and 9. So you can click right into those to read those sections if you choose to do so. I highly recommend it, but that's me. So there's the textbook. Now the assignments, you can come in here and go to the assignments, and this will show you all of the materials that you have to work on. So notice that there's stuff for exam 1, including exam 1 practice, exam 2 and exam 2 practice, exam 3 and exam 3 practice. There are virtual labs, and there's a prerequisite for this one. You have to do the learning the virtual lab before you do this first virtual lab. And then each of your virtual post labs has a prerequisite of the lab, because you have to do the lab before you do the post lab. Okay, so make sure you remember that, because you need to do the lab before you do the post lab. You should be taking notes in that lab before you go into the post lab, because the post lab is open note. You should be using your notes when you do that. So any calculations that you did, you should record how you did it what you did so that you do well on that quiz. Okay? It's a timed quiz. It's like an hour and a half. You get 2 tries through it. So if you have problems doing it the first time, let me know and I can assist you with that. Okay. So that's all of your Alex stuff. Right, that's everything that's in there. Now, if there is a discrepancy between the due dates here and the due dates in the schedule, whichever date is later is the one that stands. So if this date is too early, tell me. If this date is too late, don't say anything about it because it doesn't matter. I will leave this one. Okay. So that's that. So that's Alex for you. Okay. So you need to make sure that you've opted into Alex and you need to have done that by the 19th. Okay. So that's Alex. This and take us back to this guy. Now, information about what's on the site. Now, this is all going to seem a little weird because you're not going to be able to see any of this yet. There's information about each topic. So you'll see a PowerPoint, you'll see some practice homework, and then a worked out, here's how this works. You know, here are the answers to this that you'll see for each of those topics. There's a pre-lab quiz. You must score greater than 65% on those pre-lab quizzes to be able to do the lab. Okay, that's it. If you don't score that high, you will be refused from the lab. That's it. You can't do it without having passed that quiz. It's a safety issue. Okay. You will have to do the labs. You have to come to the lab prepared. So that's what that quiz is about. There are some virtual labs, and I talked about the fact that you should take notes. This is a sample set of notes that I took for one of those virtual labs so that you can see what kind of notes I took to be able to take the quiz for them. Okay. There are post labs. Okay. All of this stuff is in the lab manual, and you will see that once you get into the lab manual. There are surveys that you will need to do after each lab. So you come to this. Why are you unauthorized? So, big survey link. Sorry. I can get to it another way. There is another way to get to it. So there are surveys. And these are those surveys that you'll need to do. Notice that there is one for each of the labs that you need to do. I need to fix the due dates. And I'll fix that as soon as I'm done here so that you can do each of those surveys. Now, once you've done a survey, you'll see that there's this survey here. You'll come in here. I'm supposed to be doing this as a student, sorry. So, you can't do that because let me pause for just a moment. Pause sharing this, pause my recording. Okay, so there is a survey associated with each of these, and I still don't understand why it's saying that, but I will take that out because apparently it's not going to let you do it from there. So coming back to I'm not sure why it's doing that. Anyway, but coming back to where we need to get to the surveys from. So coming to more surveys. Notice that there are surveys for these. We click into a survey. Oh, darn it. View as a student because I thought I was viewing it as a student. More surveys. Clicking. You'll see this says 0 of unlimited, right? So if I click into this and I click some random things, Hopefully you spend a little more time on this, but if I click some random things, you'll see that there is this, you've successfully submitted, but when you come back to the survey list, you'll see mass and volume determination, 1 of unlimited. And so if I can screenshot this, and I can save this, and once I've done that, I can come back to my assignments. When I scroll down to my surveys, I can see that I need to submit here, and I can't do it yet because it's not available until the 15th because I'm a little early. When I do, when this is open, I could submit that here, and then that makes it really easy for me as an instructor to grade them. I don't have to go looking to see if you've actually done it. Now, will I give you eventually a grade for it? Yes, eventually. But if you do it this way, you won't get an initial 0 because you'll get that, yes, you've turned something in, all of it's good, you're fine. If I have to go searching for it, that may take more time. It's going to take until later. So you want to make sure that you're not dealing with that. So that's one thing you have to turn in. For the rest of it, for your labs, you'll need to turn those in here. You've got a couple of paper labs that you need to turn in. So one is the names and formulas, okay, and there's paperwork here for that. There's the post lab, which there should be paperwork for this. And there is paperwork for this. I just didn't look like it. I'm not sure why it doesn't look like that, but there is paperwork for this. So, and I'm not sure why that is. And it may just be because it's not available yet. So there is paperwork for this that you'll have to fill out. There is a post, it's listed as post-lab stoichiometry because the answers for this will go into Alex. The Flynn safety certificate, you're going to go to your content. Now, what happens if you go to content right now is you'll see the following things. So you'll see the instructor profile, my contact information, my bio, your course documents, all of those are available, including my tutor. So I have a ChatGPT tutor that you can open. What? I have to fix that. I will fix that, I promise, because I have a ChatGPT tutor that I made for you. And then there's the Alex thing. Well, where's the rest of the content? Well, again, if you come back to this checklist, there were a couple more things that we hadn't talked about. And those are your first assignments. So you need to do the lockdown browser response monitor test. Now, I understand that we may never need it, but in the event that you need it, in the event that something weird happens and we have to use it, I want to make sure that this is done at the beginning of the term. So there's that. And then there's an acknowledgement activity. There's a scavenger hunt, which is based on all the documents that you're being asked to review. There's a sign up for Alex, there's the Flynn safety, and then there's the safety video, all of which has to be done by the 19th. Okay. Now, your acknowledgement activity is a quiz. I can come in here and do this quiz, and I can tell you right now that I don't have to review this because I know exactly what it says. And of course, I didn't get a perfect score, but that's okay. But what happens once I've done that is now I can come out to content and look, a whole bunch of stuff shows up. Yes, that's because I did that acknowledgement activity. So now you'll see everything else. And so you'll see that here's the PowerPoint that goes with that particular lecture that we're going to talk about. Here are the questions that go with that particular topic. And then here are the answers that go with that particular topic. And not everything is populated yet. Okay. Notice that we have some things in here, but there's no questions for these particular things yet. And that's because I'm having some problems generating some of those. So it will take me a few minutes to get all of that done. The exam reviews are not in here yet. So you'll need to give me a little time to get all of that populated. And apparently I didn't actually upload the chemical equations practice yet. Oops, sorry, I'll need to do that too. So all of that will be there for you. Okay. You'll have some information about the labs, and here's the lab sign up. So here's a QR code for that lab sign up, and here's a link to that sign up. You follow that link. Show you what it's supposed to look like. That should take you right here, the booking page. Which is this. And so when you come out here, what you'll find is that you'll have to choose the lab that you want to sign up for. And so if we're doing that first week, that mass and volume determination is the first lab you have to sign up for. And what you'll see is that that lab can only be done that first week. And then there are the times that it can be done. So 8, 11:30, and 3 on Monday. And that's weird. And some of the times are not showing up right. So I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on with the times too. I apologize because all the times were showing up last night, so I'm not sure what's going on with the times. So I apologize for that. I will definitely get that sorted out because there should be more times showing up for that. So you should be able to see those times. And again, they should be showing up for all of these for that first week. And again, I'm not sure exactly what's happening. So I will get those times sorted. But that's where you will sign up for those. And so once you click that, you'll get a sign up thing. I choose that. It'll ask me who I am and for my phone number, and I'll just give you my office number. And it asks me for my student ID. I'm just gonna put it. And I'll say, and it says it's in building 630, room 222. And I'll book that. And it'll take a minute. And you'll get an email confirmation that will come to you and to the person that you've signed up with. And you'll have the opportunity to reschedule if you need to do so. Okay? Now you have to make sure that you can only do this 24 hours in advance. So you need to make sure that you've done that. So there is that, okay? And if you need to cancel that, you can do that as well. Okay? So that is everything you have. So that's where you sign up for your bookings, all of that good stuff. And I will get those links fixed in just a minute. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But again, I will take care of that issue. So, and here is when those labs need to be done. And then there's practice for the final exam. So it is a departmental final, so you have that as well. I think that's everything I needed to walk you through. Pretty sure that's everything I needed to show you. If not, I will probably remember it and we can talk about it in class on Wednesday. So hopefully I will have those things fixed for you and we will talk on Wednesday. All right, guys. Thanks. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.